Who doesn't love a good burger? But how many of you have tried a healthy burger? I'm going to show you how to make a delicious beetroot burger, which is full of great things, lots of healthy ingredients, and is super simple to make. And it starts off in a pan with a little drop of oil. I've got some rapeseed oil going in here, and we're going to fry off some onions and a little bit of garlic. So straight in there with some red onion. Give that a quick stir around the pan. To this, I'm going to add a touch of garlic. The core ingredients to these beetroot burgers is, of course, beetroot, but I also have a selection of veggies, and this is a great one because you can sneak in so many good vegetables into this fantastic burger mix. I've got courgettes, which I've grated up just on a box grater. I've got beetroots, and I've also got some carrot. So get them straight into the pan. This is a great combination of vegetables. Lots of good things going on here. Just let these fry out for about 5 to 10 minutes, just until they reduce down and all the moisture comes out. So while they're reducing away, I'm going to mix up a combination of chickpeas, porridge oats, and tahini in a processor like this. Porridge oats are going to give us that long, sustained energy. Some tahini paste. This is a sesame seed paste, and it has a sweet, nutty flavor. And then finally, to bring this all together, I've got 1 egg going in here. So crack a large free-range egg straight into this mixture. Get the mixer top on, and we're gonna go blitzing. Okay, we have a nice smooth mixture, porridge oats, chickpeas, and all those wonderful things. And scrape all of this into a big mixing bowl. This looks pretty good. Now, the one very important job you need to do is to squeeze out the liquid from all your vegetables. So take this off the heat and look at that. You can see the carrots, you can see the courgettes. They've all taken on that beautiful scarlet beetroot color, and that makes all the difference in your beautiful burger. So transfer this into a colander. So I'm just going to squeeze out any of the excess moisture here so I don't have any leftover water. Okay, we've got all of the excess moisture out, so I'm going to get rid of this, stick this mixture straight into our chickpea porridge and tahini mix, and now it's just a case of mixing this until it's nicely combined. This is looking pretty good, so now for some final touches, I'm going to add in a pinch of sea salt and some black pepper, but I also want to get in there with some herb action. I've got some coriander, which I have over here. I'm just going to take a nice handful of beautiful coriander, give it very fine chop here, and then get that straight in there alongside some spring onions. I love the fact that you've got fresh coriander, you've got that lovely crunch of spring onions, and now it's just a case of mixing it all up. What I do love about these burgers is that even though they are completely meat-free, they still look quite hearty and meaty, and the color in here is what it's all about. So this is now ready to be formed into burger patties. So I'm just going to scoop up what I would describe as not a beach ball, not a ping pong ball, but a tennis ball sized piece of burger mixture. And you want to just shape it into like a flat tennis ball sized piece of burger, just like this one. Huh? That looks pretty good. Six delicious beetroot burgers ready to be fried. Now, if you have the time, stick them in the fridge and let them firm up, but they can be fried straight away as well. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Pan straight on the heat, get a little bit of oil in there, and now we're gonna fry these off once this comes up to temperature. My beautiful beetroot burgers are just about ready to serve. To serve them up, I have some whole wheat buns, I have some avocado, and I have some hummus, and a little bit of crunch from some red cabbage. So I'm gonna just prepare up my avocado and slice up my buns, and then it's time to serve. We've got our bread, we've got our avocado, and now I'm gonna smear this with some lovely hummus. You can use whatever you fancy, but I think hummus works really well. So forget your ketchup, we're going hummus. So on top of the hummus, we've got a Go Burger. So turn off your heat. These lovely burgers are now ready to serve, and look at that. I mean, you would never know there's no meat in here. It's beautiful, it's thick, it's voluptuous, and it's bursting with flavor. So straight on top of the hummus. On top of the burger, I'm going in with a little bit of crunch from some red cabbage. Also, you get great color in there with the red cabbage. Speaking of color, we're going in there with a few slices of avocado. I'm gonna top it off with some sprouts. and you can get these in any supermarket. They are a great injection of fresh, healthy flavor. So get them straight on top, stick on the lid, and try and keep everything together. I've lost a piece of avocado, but look at that. The healthiest burger you will ever come across. And now all that's left to do is get it into my mouth. So bear with me, my friends. That right there is one of the healthiest burgers you will ever come across, but it is so tasty. There's so much going on in there. There are hundreds of pasta recipes across the internet, but one that always intrigues me is this grated raw tomato pasta. It's a very simple method, but it results in one of the quickest cooking pasta recipes that you will ever come across, and everybody raves about it for its pure simplicity. So we're gonna start off by getting our pasta on. Now, a good tablespoon or so of salt into this water. You want to make sure that you taste it. It should be almost like drinking seawater, but you don't want to drink seawater. You just want the saltiness of seawater in your water that you're going to cook the pasta. Now, to that we are going to add a little bit of pasta. We've got some spaghetti here, but I think, you could use linguine or you could use bucatini. It's totally up to you, but generally something that's going to get coated in this lovely grated pasta sauce. Now, while this is cooking away, we need to talk about this grated tomato sauce. You do need nice, soft tomatoes to do this with, because not only are we looking for that sweetness from the flavor, we are also looking for them to grate quite easily across this box grater. So, slice these in half, and you're gonna press that cut side of these beef tomatoes just against the box grater. So just work your way through each tomato. Just scoop up any of that flesh and the liquid straight into a bowl. Now, it is the kind of recipe that you do need to make sure that you source good quality ingredients, because if you get tomatoes that don't have a great taste, it is going to affect the entire dish. So make sure you have really good tomatoes for a sauce like this. I don't know if you can technically call it a sauce. Basically, it's a salsa, essentially, we're making a tomato salsa on some pasta. It's going to be delicious. Stick with me. Okay, now that the tomatoes have been grated, which feels a bit strange anyway, but once you have them, you actually end up with this really smooth paste. And to that, we're gonna add a few tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. This recipe is all about the taste. So I've got about 2 tablespoons going in there. I'm gonna season this up with some salt and pepper. I guess this is more like a pasta salad than a pasta sauce, but in a smoother kind of way. To this, a little touch of some sea salt. And now the option here is to add a little grated garlic just for some flavor. You don't have to add this, and I'm sure people who aren't garlic fans will not want raw garlic in their pasta sauce. But just a little hint of that will start to bring the flavors in that tomato alive. So a little tap of that in there. Give it all a really good mix through, and you're just gonna sort of mix it to the point of that olive oil and the liquid from the tomatoes to kind of emulsify. I am pretty much in love with this recipe, specifically down to the fact that it only takes 5 ingredients. I have pecorino if you want, you don't have to have it, but then beyond that, it's just tomatoes, a little bit of garlic, some pasta and some olive oil, sea salt and black pepper, you're gonna have anyway. But beyond that, I mean, it's a very simple recipe that comes together very quickly in the time it takes to cook the pasta, which should be at a pretty good stage right now. So I'm just gonna check and see where we're at. Best way of checking it is just taking up a little bit and giving it a bite. It is absolutely perfect. So this comes off the heat. I'm gonna drain this up and get it into our tomato sauce. This goes straight into that mixture, and you just wanna get in there and start mixing it through so that it's beautifully coated. And actually, with the heat of the pasta, I wanna add a tiny little touch of pecorino just so that it melts down in the heat of the pasta. And continue to give this a mix through just until it's completely coated and ready to go. And that is it. You have pasta cooked, you have a very quick to make tomato sauce, and now it's just a case of twisting it up and turning it out. I mean, it's simple, it's fresh, and if you have good quality ingredients, this is the sort of recipe that really works. So just pop that in there, and I'm gonna check it just to make sure that I have the seasoning right and see if it needs anything else. But I mean, essentially it's cooked pasta with beautiful tomatoes. You can't go too far wrong. I mean, that is just so simple. If you are stuck for a quick cooking pasta recipe, this is your only man. good quality tomatoes, grate them in a box grater, and you have pasta success, pasta perfection in only minutes. My friends, we need to talk about the most luscious and delicious peanut butter noodles you will ever taste. These are my spicy peanut butter noodles, coated in the most luscious, creamy peanut butter sauce and spiced within an inch of its life. They are easy to make, and they are going to start off with some noodles in a pot of boiling water. Do make sure you add a little bit of salt into your water. I've got some udon noodles here. They're going to cook in about 10 minutes. We're going to get them straight into the pot. Wasn't that quite fun? I'm glad we did that. Now, we're going to toss them just to make sure that they get nicely coated in all that water. And while they are cooking, we're going to make this brilliant sauce. It is, like I said, very simple to make, but requires a few Asian store cupboard essentials. So I've got some chili oil, I've got some rice wine vinegar, I've got some sesame oil and some soy sauce. And the most important ingredient is some peanut butter, because this peanut butter is going to give you that luscious, creamy coating. And I have mentioned that once or twice already. So, into a pot, we're going about 6 tablespoons of peanut butter. Now, it is up to you whether or not you use smooth or chunky peanut butter, but I actually like the chunky one because you get little bits of peanuts throughout it. And as it kind of melts down with all the other ingredients, you get this lovely sort of nutty texture. Then we've got 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce, and I use dark soy sauce here because it has a really rich color and it's quite salty also. To that, we've got 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. This gives you the sharpness in there along with the saltiness of the soy sauce. And then we've got 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. You really only need a tiny touch of that sesame oil because it's quite strong. And then I do think for that extra spice in there, you do need a hefty amount of chili oil. Now, you can get this chili oil where it has little bits of the chili in there. This is what I'm using here, but if you wanted to go something a little bit less heat-wise, you can just use a normal chili oil. So we're going quite a lot here. It's 3 tablespoons of this chili oil. Now that I've got this lovely spicy paste with peanut butter action going on there, we need to hit it with some of the aromatics. So I've got some ginger and I've got some garlic, which I'm just going to finely grate on one of these graters. Oh dear, that wasn't meant to happen, but we leave it there, that's for later. So, a little bit of ginger, and I do find you get the best from your ginger on one of these little graters just like this. It's just going to really elevate the flavor in here. So just scrape off that ginger and make sure you get all of it into your sauce. Looking good. And then a little bit of the garlic as well. I've only got 1 clove here, but if you wanted to add more, by all means, go ahead. Right, we have garlic, we have ginger. This now goes onto the heat. We're going to bring it up to temperature and melt down that peanut butter. When it comes to simmering point, it is good to go. So it only takes about 3 minutes just to come to that point. And I think my noodles should be good at this point. Yes, they are looking gorgeous. You can use any noodles you like here. Basically, that sauce can coat whatever you fancy. But these are udon noodles and they cook quite quickly. Right, let's go drain some noodles. So this is melting down nicely, and at this point you just want to loosen it out with about 1 to 2 tablespoons of water. This will help give you that really creamy sauce. It smells absolutely gorgeous at this point, and it's all those fragrant ingredients that are going to coat these noodles and make a beautiful little dish. Right, this is the perfect consistency. My noodles are drained, my sauce is just about ready. In fact, I'm going to turn off the heat, and now we're just going to slice up some spring onions and some chili just to serve over the top. Right, spring onions sorted, let's grab the noodles. I have these beautiful oodles of udon noodles. I can't say udon noodles. God, that was very difficult. Anyway, we've got loads of udon noodles, and now we need to dump in this beautiful, luscious sauce right over the top while it's still hot. In amongst there, we're going in there with some spring onions, some chilies, and a little bit of sesame seeds, just to give it a bit more texture. And then, just using our tongs, give it all a good mix through. We are now left with the most epic bowl of creamy peanut butter noodles that just need a final garnish of some spring onions over the top. You gotta go in with some more chili, and then a little last sprinkle of some sesame seeds just over the top. I mean, that is the quickest fix little noodle dish you will ever make, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna try some. In fact, I'm gonna try and use chopsticks to see how this goes. If you're looking for the healthiest burger you will ever come across, you've come to the right place because I am going to show you how to make chickpea burgers. These aren't any old chickpea burgers. They're filled with great spice, spring onions running through them, and we're going to serve them up in some wholemeal pita breads with some beetroot hummus and some rocket. This is one to try. So, into a food processor. We've got some chickpeas going. We're going to go in with some breadcrumbs. We've got an egg to bind this mixture, so one large free-range egg, crack that in. Next, we've got to go in there with some tahini. If you haven't used tahini, tahini and chickpea just go incredibly well together. It's a sesame seed paste. Season it up with some sea salt and some black pepper, if I can get it out. Sea salt goes in. Garam masala is a fantastic blend of Indian spices, so that goes straight in there. Straight in there with some cumin and that ground coriander. Stick the lid back on, gonna give it a blitz up, and nice smooth paste. Look at that, this is what you are after. This is the binding, this is where all the magic of the chickpea burger comes from. Grab a bowl, grab a spoon, take out that paste that you've created, because now we're gonna add a bit of texture. In on top of that, we've got some spring onions, so just a few spring onions finely sliced. You could put these in the food processor, but I think it's lovely when you see those little bits of spring onion in the burger. It just adds a bit of color, it adds a bit of texture. Spring onions sliced up, get them straight in that bowl, add in those chickpeas, and now just get in there with your spoon and give it all a good mix through. So at this point now, just grab a big handful and just pat it together in your hands so that you're left with these nice little chickpea patties. Nice little burger. So stick them on a plate. I'm going to make up about 4 burgers here. One last little burger and give the hands a quick wash. We're going back into business. I've got my pan on, heating up nicely. Into the pan, we're going to get in there with a drop of olive oil. Pan is nice and hot. Get those chickpea burgers straight in there. You're looking for a nice even color and for them to be cooked all the way through. Now, while they're frying off, we're gonna get on with the accompaniments. So I'm gonna go for some grated carrot. I have some rocket. I also have this beetroot hummus. And if you want the recipe for the beetroot hummus, you can click the link right here. Click it and you will get this delicious, vibrant beetroot hummus. It's very easy and delicious to make. So just using a box grater, grate up your carrot. And now it's time for my spring onion. And then right here on the board, get those spring onions, get the carrot, and just give it all a mix through. And then stuff into those wholemeal pita breads. It's gonna be really delicious with the chickpea burgers. Turn these over. We've got lovely golden color, both sides. I'm gonna turn off the heat. In my oven, I have 2 wholemeal pita breads, just really kind of nicely warming through. They're kind of hot. So bring them over. I'm gonna slice them open. Spread it with some of that beetroot hummus. There, look at the color, vibrant, beautiful beetroot. Stuff it now with that carrot and spring onion mixture. Grab one of those lovely chickpea burgers, quite still hot, and then split them in half. Stuff them in, and the last little touch is some yogurt. So, nice little forkful of yogurt, because I can't find a spoon. And that, my friends, is a burger to be proud of. Fantastic flavor, warm from the pan, and now we've just got to dive in and try some. I don't know if this is going to go very well, but here we go. Hi guys, I know that you love one-pan dishes and I have the perfect one for you today. It is a one-pan Singapore noodle dish. It is very simple to make. It also comes from my new book, Eat, Live, Go. So we're gonna crack it off with a hot wok. We've got some sunflower oil going in here. We're gonna fry off some ginger, chili, and garlic. It's my holy trinity of Asian ingredients. The wok really needs to be hot when you fry these ingredients off because you wanna get all that beautiful aromatic flavor going on in there. I'm getting a bit of that chili up the back of my nose, but that's fine. That means there's good flavor in there. The brilliance of this recipe is just how quick it comes together. Once you've got that nice aromatic flavor and that fry going on, we're gonna get in there with some red peppers. I've just finely sliced these red peppers. We're also going in there with some green beans, topped and tailed. Give them a good stir fry, and you're looking to soften down those veggies and to get a little bit of color on them, but not too much. These are softening down nicely. Stick in some spring onions. I'm gonna save some back just for a little bit of garnish later on. And you can see these are really vibrant veggies in there. This makes a wonderful dish, and it's really quick to make. My veggies are nicely softening down, so it's time for some frozen peas. A lot of the ingredients that are in this recipe you are bound to have in your kitchen, in your freezer, in your store cupboard. They're all easy things to pull together. So get those peas in there. We can now add in our flavor makers. So we've got some sesame oil, we've got some Chinese rice wine, and some soy sauce. So 3 tablespoons of soy sauce going in here. I know it sounds like a lot, but it gives this wonderful salty flavor. We've got 1 tablespoon of Chinese rice wine. That should be enough. We've also got a teaspoon of sesame oil. This stuff is strong, so you don't need too much. Give that all a good stir, and you start to get this wonderful aromatic flavor going on in there. So we've got our key and core ingredients. Next thing is to add in some rice noodles. Now this is a 1-pan Singapore noodles, so we're going to stick them right in here and cook them alongside the vegetables. So just break that up. I know people say don't break up the noodles, but I'm telling you, this is the only way to make this dish work. So another little bit of noodle action going on in there. And now we're going to top this all up with some chicken stock. Straight over the top. And now we're going to whack up the heat, get this bubbling away and simmering until those rice noodles are nicely cooked through. Press those noodles right down into that hot liquid. And our last little bit of flavor is from some caster sugar, which will help bring together this sauce. And I've also got the key ingredient to 1-pan Singapore noodles, or Singapore noodles in general, a heaped tablespoon of curry powder. We have a bubbling pan of liquid, and so all you've got to do now is just stir this around and make sure those rice noodles are nicely cooked through. And what will happen is all the liquid you've added in here with that little bit of sugar in there will start simmering down, and you'll be left with this beautiful coating to your noodles with all those great veggies. Now, the trick here is to keep moving this mixture. You want to make sure that your noodles cook all the way through. And we're actually in business now. You'll notice that the liquid has been soaked up. Your noodles have taken on all that great flavor. So I'm going to whack off the heat. And now it's time to serve this up. I've got a nice big bowl. Well, actually, it's quite a small bowl. But either way, I've got a bowl that's ready for our noodles. And the beauty of this is just in a matter of moments, you have serious flavor and a great little dinner dish. You can basically use whatever ingredients you have in the kitchen to adapt this super simple little recipe, and you can see those noodles are beautifully cooked through. We're going to finish it off with a little bit of coriander over the top, and you have a simple dinner dish made in a matter of minutes. That's just how good the recipes are in my book. So there you go. You have to go and check it out. It's in the box below. Right, let's taste this. Okay, I've got some chopsticks. I'm going to get up some of this lovely noodle action, get some of our veggies in there. I'm sorry, you can say whatever you like about these 1-pan methods, but that works extremely well. You get all the flavor, it coats the noodles with that brilliant sauce. You've the soy sauce, you've got the sesame oil, and all that curry powder just makes this dish come alive. You will not believe that you've made something so tasty and delicious in 1 pan. If, like me, you have been to a Korean barbecue restaurant and you are now obsessed with kimchi fried rice, well, I am going to demystify it and show you just how easy it is to make at home. You only need a handful of ingredients, and best of all, this makes great use of leftover rice. I'm going to top it off with a fried egg. We're going to give it some nori and some sesame seeds, and it is going to be spectacular. So, let's kick it off. Here's the ingredients you're going to need. 1 onion, a little bit of kimchi, some leftover cooked rice, make sure that this is cold, and then from your store cupboard, some sunflower oil, dark soy sauce, and some sesame oil, 1 large free-range egg, some sesame seeds, and if you want to go the extra mile, some nori seaweed too. The best thing about this recipe is just how little prep you have to put in, so I'm going to start off by chopping up an onion. Get your pan on a nice high heat and add some oil. Add in the onions, and you're going to fry these off for about 3 or 4 minutes, just until they start to take a little bit of color. As soon as the onions have softened down a little bit, it's time to get in there with our secret ingredient. Now, this kimchi you can find in most supermarkets. So we're going to take a good generous amount of kimchi, add it straight to the pan, and don't forget about those juices. That's where the spice is going to come from, and that's where we're going to get really great color into our fried rice. Let it sizzle, and then we're gonna add in our cold leftover rice. Using a spoon, just break up the rice and make sure it's nicely combined with the kimchi. Now it's time for your store cupboard flavors. We're gonna add in some soy sauce and some sesame oil and just stir this through. Now, if you like an extra hit of spice in your fried rice, I'm gonna add in a tiny touch of sriracha sauce. You wanna fry the rice now, mixing every now and then until any of the liquid has evaporated, and you'll start to hear the rice kind of sizzling, and that's the point where you know your fried rice is ready to go. Take it off the heat, and now it's time to fry up an egg to top off this gorgeous fried rice. Add a little oil into a pan, and then crack in your egg. Fry it until the white is completely cooked through, and you can help it along by just basting it with some of the oil. Now it's time to serve up, so take a generous amount of that gorgeous kimchi fried rice and stick it in a bowl. We're gonna top it off with a fried egg, a good drizzle of sriracha sauce, a nice sprinkle of sesame seeds, and some nori seaweed strips. I'm sorry, but there is no better dish you could make in 10 minutes. It's got that lovely hit of spice, that rounding heat. It's got the tang from that fermented kimchi. It really is quite a different dish, and when you top it off with the egg, those nori strips and those kind of like nutty sesame seeds, it really makes for an absolutely gorgeous quick supper. I'm going to show you how to make a lasagna that's about to blow your mind. This was taught to me by an Italian grandmother, so if you are Italian and you think this is not an authentic recipe, please do not leave me a comment. We are gonna make a green bean and pesto lasagna with potatoes running through it, fresh lasagna sheets. It is going to be delicious, and it is a much lighter version than the traditional ragu lasagna. Now, we have skipped along and I've made up a white sauce, and if you want to know how to make this white sauce, you'll have seen me making this on the channel before, so check out the link and you'll find out how to make a very basic white sauce. To this white sauce, we've got to add a bit of seasoning. So, we're going to go in there with some nutmeg. Nutmeg just adds this wonderful dimension of flavor into a white sauce like this. You only need a subtle little grating of that nutmeg. Season it up with some sea salt and a touch of black pepper. The great thing about this lasagna is just how quickly you can bring it to the table. So I'm gonna mix this up just so that seasoning goes through. And to this white sauce, we're also gonna add some really good quality homemade pesto. So all of this goes in there. Now, if you want to see how to make pesto, you can check out the lovely video we have for some wild garlic pesto, but otherwise store-bought pesto will do just fine in here. Just get some good quality stuff. So it's going to start off by slicing up some of these potatoes. You want them in sort of 1 centimeter thick slices. You don't have to worry so much about how they look. These potatoes have been boiled for about 15 minutes, just until they're nice and tender, and you can check that with a fork. This recipe was taught to me by an Italian grandmother, slightly north of Rome, if I remember correctly, in a castle. And this is her classic recipe. She makes it for all her grandkids, and it is one that always goes down a treat. So that's all our potatoes nicely chopped up. We've got our green beans. They've been cooked just until they're nice and tender as well in some salted boiling water. Into a buttered baking tin or roasting dish just like this one. Layer a tiny touch of that white sauce just across the base, and this is going to make sure that all your ingredients don't slide all over the place. Once you have a nice little layer of that white sauce, it's time to go in there with some fresh lasagna sheets. So just layer that in. You're going to go 4 sheets. And it doesn't matter too much if they lay over on top of each other. So just press them in, and now it is time to layer this up. We're gonna go potatoes, we're going green beans, and we're going white sauce. If you don't have homemade white sauce and you don't have homemade pesto, this is a fantastically quick recipe you can make with store-bought ingredients. I've got a good bit of green bean action, and now it's time just to sprinkle over some Parmesan cheese. And essentially all you've got to do now is repeat this process until you've used all the ingredients and you've got a tiny bit of white sauce to layer over the top. I'm going to finish it off with a generous sprinkling of Parmesan cheese over the top. Now, if you want to make this vegetarian, you need to track down some vegetarian-friendly Parmesan cheese, or any other cheese will do. But we're just gonna sprinkle it with that Parmesan cheese. It'll give you that lovely salty hit. And then a tiny little touch of butter over the top. This is gonna melt down with the Parmesan cheese and give you a lovely golden brown finish. This goes into the oven, 200 degrees Celsius, preheated, and it's gonna cook for about 25 minutes, just until you have that golden bubbling top, and it's pretty much good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, green bean, pesto and potato lasagna is served, and it smells so fantastic. So now I've got to dive in, and look what I have. A wonky spatula. We looked for a spatula and this is the only one we could find, so we're going to use it. So take up a nice generous, it's actually quite handy because you can hold that and get into it. So take up a generous bit like that and look at that. Green beans, potato, beautiful cheesiness, straight onto a plate. And no more talking, I think we've got to get eating. Today's recipe is a gorgeous veggie fritter, fried until golden brown and served up with some soft-boiled eggs, some avocado, and a little drizzle over the top. This is a spectacular breakfast that is not only easy to make, but looks spectacular too. So, we're gonna boil up the eggs. This is super easy, and it's a foolproof method for getting beautiful set egg whites, but really gooey and runny egg yolks. So bring a small pot of water to the boil and leave the eggs in the pot for 7 minutes. Once the time is up, you're gonna carefully transfer the eggs over to a bowl of ice water, set them aside to cool, and then peel the shell off. Next up, it is the veggie fritters. Now, these veggie fritters I make for Noah all the time, my little 1-year-old son. He absolutely loves them, and they're a great way of using up whatever veggies you have in the fridge. You can use courgette, you can use carrot, you can use butternut squash, you can use whatever veggies you might have hanging around that you want to use up. So I'm going to add 2 cups of grated veggies. You could use squash, courgette, sweet potato, or carrot into a large bowl, and then you're going to follow that up with some chia seeds, a little chickpea flour, some harissa spice blend, and then a splash of milk. Mix that all together until it's evenly combined. And I'll be honest, when I make this, I don't use a recipe at all. I literally grate whatever veggies I have and I start adding in the other ingredients just until I get it to a nice dropping consistency and they can be fried off. So it is more of a recipe that you can eyeball it even if you don't have the full recipe. Right, it's time to get these fried up. So you're gonna add some oil to a large frying pan on a medium-high heat. Now the trick to these veggie fritters is to take a heaped tablespoon, pop it onto the hot pan, and then use the back of the spoon just to get a nice little divot. It will result in evenly cooked fritters, and that's exactly what you want. You're going to repeat this method with the rest of the batter and fry them off for 4 minutes on each side until they're golden brown. Repeat this in batches until you've used up all the batter, and then remove them from the pan and keep them warm. Now next up is some grilled broccoli. This little method is a really good one to learn. I use it for asparagus when it's in season, and all you're going to do is oil up your broccoli, or tender stem broccoli, whatever you have your hands on. You're going to drizzle that over, add a good pinch of sea salt and black pepper, and stick it under a high grill. You're going to grill them for about 2 to 3 minutes either side, just until they're nice and tender. They should still have a bit of bite, but they should have gone gorgeously charred and give you loads of great flavor. We've got the broccoli done, we've got the fritters done, we've got the eggs done. Now we need to talk about this yogurt. Add some Greek yogurt to a bowl and add in a little bit of turmeric. Next, mince a garlic clove and stick it straight in. Lastly, we're going to squeeze the juice of half a lemon and then whisk it all together, season it to taste, and then set it aside. And that's it. We have all the key components to this dish, so it's time to serve. First, you want to place the fritter on the plate and add the broccoli next to them. Next, add 2 boiled eggs we prepared earlier, along with half an avocado, and cut the eggs in half to let that yolk flow. Drizzle the yogurt over the top. Add a sprinkle of Aleppo pepper just to finish it off, and then add a little drizzle of olive oil just to taste. Look at that. That is a gorgeous breakfast, full of color, full of flavor. If you're in the mood for a healthy salad that packs a big punch, I have the perfect recipe for you. A grilled avocado salad filled with lots of vibrant flavor, smoky tastes, and really ridiculously good green goddess dressing. It starts off in a blender with some chives. So I'm gonna get my green goddess on with a little bit of chives. So this is gonna give you that wonderful sort of onion hum through this dressing. You can use any herbs you like here. You could add some coriander, you could add some basil. It's totally up to you. In fact, I have some basil, which I'm gonna take a handful and put it in here too. So alongside all my herbs, the interesting thing about this dressing is that it gets its creaminess from half an avocado. So I have a nice ripe avocado here, but I'm gonna take half and stick it straight in here. So we're going in there with the juice of some lime. I suppose this is essentially a deconstructed guacamole salad. You have all the essential elements. You've got the cilantro, you've got the avocado, and I guess we're umping it up, making it a little bit more healthy with the addition of tomatoes, some salad leaves, it's going to be good, but it's going to have that essential guacamole taste, and it really is wonderful. To add to all that sort of onion flavor in there from the chives, we're going to add in a touch of garlic. Now, be gentle with your garlic. You don't want to add too much here, otherwise it can overpower. So just a nice small clove of garlic will do the business here. Stick it in the blender. We're going to go in there with a touch of hot sauce. Just a tiny little drizzle will do the job here. Boop. Nice. And then for more acidity and just to round out the flavor of this dressing is some white wine vinegar. So about 2 tablespoons going in here. Before we blitz it up, season it with some sea salt and some black pepper. And the thing about dressings is that you have to taste as you go along. So I'm going to blitz this up, see how it tastes, and then we can check it and see if it needs anything else. Okay, this is looking really good. Now, it kind of looks a bit too thick for my liking, but I'm just going to taste a tiny touch of it. Ooh, it has that wonderful acidic bite from the white wine vinegar and all that lime juice in there. But I do think it needs to be loosened out a little bit. So I'm adding some extra virgin olive oil. About a tablespoon will do here. Stick the lid back on and you're just going to blitz it up. Apart from that, it tastes really good. We are in business. This is just the right consistency. It's not like a guacamole at all. You've got this thick, creamy, velvety salad dressing, which is gonna go amazingly over the top of this brilliant salad. But what we're gonna do is make it all a little extra exciting by griddling our avocados, getting a rich, smoky char on the outside so that you give loads more flavor to this salad. Now, it seems like a crazy idea to heat avocados, but adding that smokiness just adds so much more flavor. So if you've never grilled your avocados, please, this is the chance to try. Once you have all your avocado stones removed, just using your spoon, scoop them out, and you're looking for them to all stay just about in one shape. The key here is to get nice firm avocados. You want them to be ripe, but they also need to be firm, otherwise they're just gonna go mushy on the pan, and you don't want a mushy avocado. So just carefully spoon around the flesh and remove them from the skin, just like that. A top tip, if you remove avocados from the skin like this and you don't want to use them straight away, give them a squeeze of lime juice and it'll just prevent them from going brown. The acidity in the lime juice will prevent it happening, so it is a good little tip to do. So I'm just going to sprinkle these with a little bit of salt, and then I'm also going to just drizzle these with some olive oil. Give them all a nice little massage with that olive oil all the way around, just so that they're nicely coated, and then get them straight onto a hot griddle pan. You should be looking for a sizzle. Ooh, that's exactly what we want. You're looking for deep char marks here, so don't be afraid to leave them on. They're going to need about 2 to 3 minutes just until they have those nice char marks, and then we're going to turn them over. Now, while these avocados get that really rich dark color, I'm also going to get on with the rest of this salad. So I have some red onion and I have some nice lettuce, but I'm going to start off by slicing up this red onion. I'm probably going to need only about half of this very large onion, but you want a generous amount. It adds great color and it also adds that sort of oniony bite. So just using a very sharp knife, you want thin slices on your onion. Okay, this is ready to rock. So I'm going to start assembling this salad. I have a beautiful head of lettuce and this has been washed. So just crack off those leaves and this creates a wonderful base for this salad. So you can use baby gem lettuce, you can use a whole host of different lettuce leaves, but I think this one has that wonderful sort of buttery taste and really crisp texture as well. Now that I have all my salad leaves looking very beautiful, it's time to get in there with some of this onion. You just want to sprinkle this around. I absolutely love salads that have this fresh taste. For some nice color and sweetness, I'm going to go in there with some cherry tomatoes. Just sprinkle them in and around. I've got some nice varieties here. And then just pick off some of those fresh coriander leaves. This really does make a difference to this salad. It just adds that extra fresh taste. It also kind of echoes the flavor that you get from a traditional guacamole as well. It's going to work really well with the avocado. And I can hear and smell that my avocados are just about ready, so let's have a look. Let's turn them over. Oh yes, that is the smoky charred look you are looking for with these avocados. So they're ready to be turned. Look at that! Now we're talking. Okay, they are looking pretty good. So they're only going to need another minute or so on this side. I'm going to slice them up and serve them over this salad. Okay, these are looking absolutely fantastic right now. So just transfer them over to a board It really does feel like a strange thing to do to an avocado, but believe me, if you try this, you will understand that that smoky flavor just adds so much. So just bring a knife straight down the center. When I open them out, you get that vibrant green against that really rich, dark color. And now it's just a case of decorating them in alongside the rest of your salad. Now this looks good just as it is, but to finish it off, don't forget we have that brilliant green goddess dressing. So just give it a nice drizzle over each avocado, and that is just gonna hum with brilliant garlicky flavor, all those wonderful herbs in there. And once you toss this all together, it is a proper meal that you're gonna be very satisfied with. Okay, this looks pretty good. And that, my friends, is a green goddess salad with charred avocado, lots of great vibrant flavors. You've got the onions, you've got the cherry tomatoes, and I do think I need to try some. Okay, I have got the avocado, I've got the onion, I've got all that beautiful salad dressing. That is a seriously meaty tasting salad. I know it's completely vegetarian, but you get that intense smoky taste from the char grilling of the avocados. That creamy humming dressing just works so well, and it's vibrantly green. This is a fantastic healthy salad that I hope you'll give a go. Hi guys, today I want to show you my recipe for a really rich and comforting Irish farmhouse vegetable soup. Now, I did not grow up in a farmhouse, but I grew up on a really good Irish veggie soup, and this one is absolutely gorgeous. It is a combination of really simple and humble ingredients sweated together until you get really gorgeous sweet flavor, and then it's finished off with good rich veggie stock, some cream, some peas, and you're left with the most warm and comforting bowl of soup that is absolutely glorious, perfect for colder winter months like these. Now this recipe comes together really easily, but it does take a little bit of preparation. I've got some onions, some leek and potato. I'm gonna chop them up and we're gonna get them into a pan and fried off with a little bit of butter until they're softened and sweated down. I always feel quite happy when I know there is potato in a soup because it adds this lovely luscious creamy texture, and it's always a winner. So I've got potato, onion and leek chopped. We're going to get into our pot, a nice heavy deep pot like this with some butter, and just to prevent the butter from burning, a little drop of oil. Now as soon as that butter starts melting and fizzing and bubbling, we are good to go. So veggies in, we're going to sweat these out for at least 5 to 6 minutes until they've softened down, and don't forget to season at this point. There is something so lovely about the smell of leeks and onion frying in butter. It just instantly reminds me of when I was growing up. These were the sorts of dishes we always had. And it's a real sense of home comfort. This is the sort of dish that is just going to see you through winter. Now, the beauty of this recipe is that it is incredibly adaptable, so use whatever vegetables you have in the bottom of the fridge. I have some parsnip, I have some carrot, and I have some celery. I'm just going to peel them, chop them, and get them in the pot. So now that I've got the parsnip, celery and carrot all chopped up, it's time to get them straight in on top of the potatoes, leek and onion. Okay, now we are cooking. We've got all our ingredients in there. It's all starting to soften down, but I want to cook out the root veg. So I have some vegetable stock, which I've just brought up to a nice simmer. We're going to pour that in and bring this all up to temperature. Right, that is our stock in. We are looking good now. So we're gonna bring this up to a nice steady simmering point, and once it is up to that point, we're gonna cook it out for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until the veggies are nice and tender, and you can check that by piercing them with a fork. The soup has now had a little bit of time to cook out, and my veggies should be nice and tender now, so I'm just gonna pull up one or two of the carrots and pierce it with a fork. Goes in perfectly, which means we are good to blitz. So I'm gonna blitz this until it's nice and smooth. Then we're gonna bring it back up to temperature, add some peas, add some cream, and give it a really luscious finish. So let's get cracking. Just have a look at this. A really gorgeous, velvety, sort of sunset orange soup, packed full of really great veggies. And at this point now, it needs no more than just a seasoning. I'm gonna check that we've got the flavor right. Oh, beautiful. And actually the peas add a lovely bit of freshness and bite to the soup, so they're well worth adding. And they're a great freezer ingredient, so always worth adding. Just needs a tiny bit more salt and pepper. It's always a great point to make sure you get the seasoning right, so I'm just gonna taste it. That is exactly where it needs to be. It's got all that vibrancy of the veggies in there. It's gone really creamy and luscious, and that's because you've added the potatoes in there. They add a little bit of body and that really kind of smooth, creamy finish. Now this is good to serve. It needs no more. Once you've checked the seasoning, you know you're in a good place. It's ready to rock. So into a bowl, serve it up with some brown bread. I'm just gonna pop on some parsley and we're good to go.